Alright everyone, it's time for the Occult video 210, and probably the last one for this year. I was trying to get to 210. I like nice round number, you know. Beware of spiritual darkness. That is, specifically, beware of people who will mislead you, often for monetary reasons, and they call themselves like a guru or a high priest or rabbi, cleric, whatever. Anyone in a position of religious leadership or presumed spiritual leadership, they're like, oh yeah, I can help you with your life. Now keep in mind, there's a difference between the person and the practice in some cases. You can glean information, knowledge, spiritual guidance from someone without sort of holding them up on a pedestal and giving them your fortune and shit like that. That's fine, but just keep in mind the fact that just because they've anointed themselves as a leader, or they're perceived as one by other people, bandwagon effect, that might make it seem like they're some sort of great person, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they are. I mean, their own personal life would be totally out of step with their spiritual teachings. You think of some, group of Buddhist monks and then they're having an orgy or something like that. It'd be a little bit problematic to their practitioners to know what's happening, but it's behind closed doors, and so on the surface they're very ascetic. They basically take a vow of poverty. We don't drink, we don't smoke, we don't screw, we don't party at all. We just, mumble to ourselves all day and water our ferns. And then really, on the weekends they're going into town to have a good time. Their robes come off. Apparently, there are tales of this happening. It's basically, we don't care what you do. Humans are humans. Just make sure not to spoil your garments and stuff. It's very funny. I can imagine. It's probably a true story. To some extent, in some groups. There are all sorts of spiritual teachers, so-called, and self-proclaimed gurus and leaders of various sorts who live a life that's wildly out of step with their own teachings. Nobody is perfect. I'm not, I talk about the spiritual side of things. Just because I stress, you can be ambitious and successful and stuff, that doesn't mean I don't have moments of self-doubt and stuff. Everyone is a human being. Everyone has to poop. There's a book called Everybody Poops. Definitely true. But you've got to be careful, because some of these people are outright charlatans. It's like with this Q posting bullshit. And I was pointing out that the Q posting is the same as what fortune tellers do. You make a laundry list of very vague predictions, or just spit out a bunch of word salad, and people will interpret it in a million different ways. There are certain situations in which you've got a better than 50-50 chance of what you've said being able to be construed as having been fulfilled. That's what a fortune teller does. That's how psychics operate ultimately. And I'm not saying that, well, you can't glean any knowledge about the future or about yourself through someone who's skilled in that trade. Of course you can. The best usage for a psychic or someone like that, who is a charlatan ultimately 100% of the time, the best way you can use that is for psychoanalysis, basically, essentially. What I would say is you've got to be careful, though. If you believe in the spiritual, if you're totally secular, you're like hardline atheist, spirituality's bullshit, religion's bullshit, haha, burn the church. If you're like that, then you don't have to worry, because you're already very skeptical, possibly too skeptical of everyone who's involved with spirituality. Probably not even just the self-proclaimed gurus and priests. You probably think I'm crazy too, because I say, well, yeah, I do believe in spiritual forces. You probably think I'm a kook because of that, and you tune it out and only watch the news commentary, or maybe you're in it for the gardening videos. I know they're the big seller. The MREs, which at some point I'll get back into. Yes, that is a plan. But if you have spiritual beliefs, you can be misled. The problem is that you can be primed psychologically. You're wanting answers, you're actively seeking them, and so you've got all these people. It's like navigating a minefield. They're trying to draw you in, to bilk you out of money, or sell you, like, these are the ultimate blessed tarot cards. I soaked them in the wellspring of Jerusalem where Jesus bathed, and stuff like that. It's like, this is a genuine piece of the cross of Jesus. This is a genuine sand grain from Mecca, or something like that. Put it in your talisman to protect you from the evil eye. And you get all of this stuff, and some of it's kind of out there and weird. Some of it's authentic. But I'd like to make one final aside. That's if you read, especially the Petit Albert, among other things. Some of those authentic sort of talismanic things were always bullshit to begin with. So it was foisted off on people hundreds of years ago, and it just sort of became a tradition. You're like, those little things, I know in Turkey they're quite common. I can't remember what they're called. They're the little amulets. They're like made out of colored glass, usually blue, and it looks sort of like an eye. And it's meant to ward off, literally, the evil eye, hexes and stuff like that. It's supposed to be protective. At some point, many, many hundreds of years ago, I suppose someone made this, oh yes, talisman will protect you from evil. People thought it looked good, and so they just started replicating it. And now it's like everyone wears them. I've actually seen people wearing those here too. And I don't mean people from Turkey. I mean, it's like all sorts of people. It's just sort of a common amulet, a talisman that's become, popularized in sort of that witchy side of culture. Careful of superstition, though. It can make the world fun. Spiritual guidance can be a good thing. It can help you with ambition. It can help you with problems, but it can also be a problem. And so don't take it too far, and don't be too trusting of people that say, hey, I've got this magical cure. It's totally not snake oil. I can cure your cancer with hoodoo or something. No, probably not. Just use it for more general guidance and pick through it. You should be a cherry picker, by the way, through spirituality. To sort of instead of taking it all as one thing, you can pick it apart and sort of amalgamate it together for your own uses. That's about all. Peace out.